Well, Ryan, I kind of told you so. Big trades this week.
You saw them
in
coming.
NHL.
Yeah, well, the Oilers trade surprised exactly no one. And I think the timing of the Quinn Hughes trade probably took a lot of people by surprise. But wow.
I told you it was going to happen before Christmas. This could open the floodgates. Might not happen before the trade freeze, but I
Yep.
think this could start. And I know we want to talk about our Leafs and the Habs. We can talk about these trades in a few minutes, but I did want to tell you I told you
Yeah,
so.
yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about the ripple effects of these trades and what they mean for their teams. But wow, those are huge, huge.
Huge moves.
Well, I mean, one of them is not that huge a move, but the other one is like ground shifting.
Yeah.
But anyway, back
You're in
to
a
our
better mood
teams.
tonight, at least.
I'm in a
Your
better mood.
Habs just
Yeah,
finished beating the Oilers
it should have been
after
a
the
shutout.
Oilers
It should have
took
been
out
eight
my
to one.
Leafs.
It should have been 8-1 or 8-0.
Four breakaways, three in the third period alone.
Yeah, I love Nick Suzuki. I hope those breakaways didn't take him off Team Canada for the Olympics because he should have scored on at least one of them. Yeah, you can't have.
We know St. Louis is going to have them practicing their breakaways
Oh yeah, for
the
sure,
next couple of days.
for sure. But hey, if you there's one thing you want to practice as a player, I think that's the one.
It's a lot of fun. Not so much fun for the goalies.
No, the goalies hate it. But look, I think the Canadians have 3 points in their last 4 games. But if you go back a little bit further, coming out of that real bad slump that they had, they're barely over 500 in their last 10. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. They've got to find consistency. And what frustrates me is that they've shown throughout the season the ability to play a 60-minute game. It's one thing if you were a young team and you can play 45, 50-minute games, but you have big letdowns. But this team has shown that they can play 60 minutes. And they've shown that they've got the maturity and have learned about what it takes to play with a lead in the third period and to play smart when you've got a 3-0 lead. And they showed it again tonight. I'd say they've got to find a way of being consistent with it. And I know that's hard for a younger team. Hopefully they can find it. I know it's especially hard when there's no time to practice. These guys are playing every other night for the next 2 weeks.
We've talked about this till we're blue in the face. The compressed schedule from last season, a compressed schedule, even worse this year.
Yeah.
There's the practice time is at a premium for sure. And it's showing. It's also, as we've said, it's showing on the ice because of the play. It's showing because of the injuries. These players are going to need a break at some point.
Yeah. Well, I spoke too soon. They're not playing every other night for 2 weeks. They're doing it for a week and a half.
We're being a little facetious, but
then they've got Christmas off, and then they've got a 4-day break for Christmas. And I think they and every other team in the NHL are desperately going to need it. But yeah, the Canadians, you can't without practicing. It's hard to find that kind of consistency, and I hope they manage to find it pretty quickly.
So talk to me a little bit about now the goaltending situation. Dobish and Monty seem to have faltered a little bit. Now
they faltered a lot. Look, they
coming in and Fowler and seemed to have played his first game really well.
He was fantastic the first game, like really, really calm. Reminded me of Price in a lot of ways. Like,
wow, high praise.
Very economical in his movements, very calm. His glove saves, he makes them look nonchalant. Second game was a little bit tougher. None of those goals were his fault. I mean, it was just a crappy defensive effort. It was that Canadians' disease of forgetting their defensive assignments in the middle of the ice for long stretches of time during the game. But Dobish looked pretty good tonight. I think who knows whether he woke up or it's just a random good game. But
could be a rest.
Yeah, Monty hasn't played since December 2nd.
Think he can be traded? Could he be the next guy on the block?
I don't know. He's lost his net and doesn't have a lot of trade value right now. I think the Canadians, look, they signed him to an extension. They want him to be their number one, at least through this year and possibly next year. And so they're going to give him every opportunity to find his game, but not right now. He's clearly not mentally in the place where he can rediscover his technique. He's like all over the place. His positioning isn't good. The other thing with Dobish is, and the reason why I think he may best be suited as a backup goalie long term, is that he seems like an emotional guy. Like he gets down on himself. His body language after he gives up a goal, and especially in a key moment, gives me pause and concern. And if it does for me, what about the guys that are on the ice seeing that? So I think, Dobish is a very solid goalie. I think, he's a good backup. I don't know necessarily that he has the temperament to be a
Wow.
number one. But no, look, time will tell. He's young, right?
Coach
He's
Ryan
25.
here.
Coach Ryan, the goalie expert who's never played a second of goalie in his entire life, except in his driveway with his dad ripping shots at him. That's basically
There you go.
that's
But that
my
day, that's very analytical of you
very
to
analytical, right?
yeah, look at that.
um, the other thing I noticed, by the way, great goal by Alex Texier tonight. Really happy to see that he's
Still not sure why the Habs were the only team in on him.
yeah, well, he's starting to play pretty well. And I know Demidov had a really nice goal tonight. He was a ripping shot on the
That was an
power play.
impressive shot.
But the one thing I've noticed about Demidov is I wonder if he's starting to get a little bit tired because he's not winning as many of those puck battles in the corners anymore, where he's able to use his body and his lower leg strength, his lower body strength to shield the puck and make plays with it. He's losing a lot more of those battles because he's getting pushed off of it. He's also not quite as dynamic through the zone and stuff. I just wonder if anybody's going to benefit from this winter break a little bit more than he will.
Yeah,
Quite
well, I think
honestly.
that's part of. We just talked about the compressed schedule. That's part of it. He's playing more hockey now than he did playing in the KHL because they're
Oh, for
playing more
sure.
hockey. They play more frequently. So this it definitely has to be playing on him that he's not used to playing this amount of hockey. And let's be honest, the KHL is not the NHL. So
Right.
it's definitely a different level, different speed, different volume of games in a different time frame, all playing into this. But you're right. Once they get a little bit of a break here, maybe they refresh. Most of the Russians, all of the Russians are going to get a 2 week break or 3 week break at the Olympics. So they're all going to come back a lot fresher than
Yeah, all the
the
Russians,
other
like Kucherov's
nations.
going to be all over the place
Yeah,
when he gets
absolutely.
back.
Yeah.
Kaprizov had a nice goal tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so overall, like, there's a lot to like and there's a lot not to like about the Canadians. The inconsistency is driving me a little bit crazy. I haven't. I'm going to beat you to the punch, Phil. Admittedly, I have not watched all of their games to completion. So
Yes.
you can get
I was going to grill you on this in a second.
you can grill me on that now.
Tuesday night against the Lightning, when you're getting pounded,
Pounded.
Ryan, for all the viewers out there, sends me a text message. Goes, I'm out. I'm leaving.
I said they're giving up a touchdown tonight. I'm out.
I continued
And,
to watch
and
the entire game, and Ryan left.
it was
What
3-0, and I walked
is
away.
that all about?
So they ended up giving 6. So I was right. They gave up the touchdown. They just, the Lightning missed the extra point. Honestly, like it was
I was very disappointed in you.
it was a very disappointing performance by the Canadians. Look, my time, at least in my mind, is very valuable.
We do have other jobs.
I have a day job. I have a relationship. I have a kid. I have things to do around the house. It's Christmas time, right? Hanukkah time. It's time to be shopping for gifts and stuff like that, whether it's online or in person. When it's 3-0 and look, the Canadians have a lot of my loyalty. They get a ton of my time. That valuable
They
asset.
do, but
But when they come
that was
out,
disappointing.
when they come out and start laying eggs all over the ice, like it's like, all right,
Look,
time to switch gears and
if there was ever a
I'll try
season
again.
where you had no justification for leaving, this was the season. The last couple seasons, I get it. This season, you're third in the division. You're well inside of a playoff spot at the moment. Just come on. You gave up on the team in December game that come on.
Sometimes you don't have it. And
If anybody should be shutting the
sometimes you
TV
don't
off,
have it.
it's me and Leaf fans. Come
Look,
on.
I can only advise you. Maybe there should be times when you walk away from a Leafs game. That said, though, the Leafs still get blown out like the Canadians,
Oh,
except the game against the Oilers.
oh, come on. Are we segueing now? Are we
Yeah,
done with
but
the
let's say
Habs?
yeah, but this is the
Oh,
very clever segue into the Leafs and
clever
back
segue.
to the very right back to the couch.
Well, I couldn't have gotten off the couch on Saturday night if I had tried. I don't know how to keep saying the same things over and over. And the biggest problem that we have, other than injuries, is giveaways.
Yep.
The 6 goals the Oilers scored, 5 of them came directly from turnovers, whether it was in their own end, the offensive blue line, the offensive zone, wherever it was, they were giving up the puck. And 5 times it turned into directly into a goal against.
Right.
You just can't do that at this level. This team, you know,
How many of them were Robertson turnovers?
only one,
Okay.
but
It's contagious
OEL,
then.
it's just contagious, and it was just bad. And the problem was that Robertson was the game wasn't lost at that point in time. It was 2-1, and it was the end of the second or end of the first period. I forget which it was,
Hmm.
and he gave it up. Yeah, I think it was the end of the second period. He turned it over in the offensive zone with a blind pass into the slot. It turned over, came down, scored 3-1 with like less than a minute left in the period. It was a killer. That was a killer. They came out to the third, and it was game over. But turnovers, I've been saying this all season long, has been the biggest killer for us. This team is
Hmm.
really going to have to be careful. As much as we're talking about the last number of weeks and the last month, how there's parity in the Eastern Conference, there is some separation starting to happen.
A
You know,
little bit.
there's still clogged up one through
You're still
you
only
know
4 points out of
eight,
a
yeah,
playoff spot.
five. That's 5 spot points out, but still, the gap is getting tougher, more teams to climb over, and they're
Hmm.
playing poorly, right? So, and the injuries are mounting. And we talked about rest, like as good as our goaltending has been, because of we putting so much pressure on our goaltending, we've got 2 injured goaltenders, and then he'll be he was just tired on Saturday night. Like he's not used to playing that volume of
He's
games
not used to
either,
getting a
taking that
mercy pull,
volume
that's
of
for sure.
shots, right? At this
Yeah.
level, playing in the AHL and getting this volume of shots is not the same as the NHL. And
Yeah.
he was just, you could tell he wasn't moving quite as well. And you can't hang it on him. The team just can't turn over the puck the way that it is. And it's just bad. You
Well,
know,
you
we,
did get
we
to see McDavid score a particularly nice goal.
that was a beauty. That was a
End to
again
end.
directly on a turnover at the offensive blue line. You know,
Right. And
and
so
and
that leads me into what I wanted to ask you about. Because one of the things you texted me about that particular giveaway was for the first time in I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. That was the first time I've heard you express frustration with Austin Matthews.
But that wasn't the Austin Matthews.
That wasn't the Austin
That
Matthews.
wasn't Austin.
Well,
The
it,
Austin Matthews turnover was on Thursday night against the Sharks in overtime.
sorry, I confuse
Well, there's so many
your
of them.
frustrated rants.
There's so
I
many
can't
of
keep
them
them
because,
straight.
but on Thursday night against the Sharks,
Uh-huh.
again, we blew a 2-0 lead. We were playing well. Both goaltenders were playing great. We give up 2 goals in the third period. One late. Can't get the puck out of the zone. Again, another reoccurring theme. We can't get the puck
Mm-hmm.
out of the zone. And then in overtime, Matthews goes over the offensive blue line, gives up the puck, bad turnover, turns it over, 2-on-1 the other way, and then he lollygags his way back and doesn't get back into play. He stops skating,
Mm-hmm.
and bingo, bango, it's in the back of our net, and we're lose. You
Never
know,
heard you express frustration with Matthews
but
before.
and I said, look,
Strip the C, you
I
said.
was all
Strip the
over giving
C.
him the C, and you know what? Maybe we put too much on him. I think there was interesting commentary this week out of Mike Johnson who said, and I think he's right. We used to talk about Matthews in the same breath with McDavid, with McKinnon, and that elite sort of players in the NHL that were goal scorers and playmakers. We are now talking about him in the next level down, and he actually might be slipping beyond that, right? So his level of play is not there. His leadership isn't there. And if you've read some of the highlights post Saturday, is that Burby went into the change room and ripped the leadership and said, they're not doing enough. They need to take control and they need to turn this thing around. And he's pointing the finger very squarely at his captain.
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
Riley and everybody else. He's not saying that, but he's saying leadership, and we all know what that means. The
Okay.
guy's wearing the letters, the guy wearing the C, and the veterans on this team, and they're just not carrying their weight. And I don't know much more we can say about this. Again, we're still dead last in offensive zone play. It's just terrible. This team was built to be heavy and puck control and winning puck battles down low and playing in the offensive zone, and we're not doing that.
Right.
We're
Right.
playing in
Right.
our own
Right.
end and we're not getting it out of our own end, and that's a problem. And you add all those up, and we are where we are, and we've
Okay.
got to turn this thing around.
All right. Well, look, there's still time. There's still time.
Still time, but it's
All
running
right.
out.
So let's move on to the big news of the week. Two trades. One we saw coming a mile away. We did, they've been talking about the Oilers picking up Tristan Jarry. What are your thoughts on it? Because my thought was this is a very minor upgrade in goal, and they gave a lot up for him. Like, I think Pittsburgh won this trade handily.
Yeah, I think with Kulak being included, there's no question that Pittsburgh won this trade. And I think Kulak for the Penguins, what was this trade was about? It wasn't for them. It wasn't about Skinner. It was about Jari's no longer their long-term goaltender. He's older. I think he's 30. Um, so he wasn't going to be the goaltender long term. It was about getting a upgrade on defense in Kulak in terms of defensive defenseman. The guy can play in both ends, and I think he is that guy. And the pick, right?
Yeah, a
And
second round
and
pick
they
out of it
took
as well.
a goaltender that they'll, hopefully be the backup. Maybe if he plays well enough, it picks up his game. But I think the interesting thing here on Jari is a couple things on this trade. Jari was actually 9-3-1 with an over 990% save percentage this year. So he's turned his game around from where he was last year. I think the other factor here was, and we've talked about this, Edmonton had to do something. The
Right.
team had quit on Skinner,
Can't
and
argue with that.
they had to make a change. And if you look around the league, there wasn't a lot available. Bennington could be available. Bennington didn't want to go to Edmonton.
Yeah.
Um, who else was available?
Who knows? Maybe they could.
Yeah,
Honestly, I don't know who they could pry out of where
yeah,
anymore.
Yossi out of
Saros out of
Saros out
Nashville.
of Nashville, maybe. But I think what they liked in Jari is that he has a home just outside of Edmonton,
Mm-hmm.
and he played in Edmonton as a junior. I mean, in the American Hockey League, in the Canadian Hockey League. I mean, so um, he was an Edmonton kid, wanted to go play in Edmonton. So I think they liked that sort of mix and hoping that he brings that to the table. And look, he played well on Saturday night, so you can't take it. So there's been some people say this was an F for Edmonton. I think that's being a little bit harsh.
I think it's a
I
C minus.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's a
don't
C
love that they
minus.
gave up Kulak, but part of the issue is that Jari's making over 5 million, and they had to dump a couple $1 million in salary, and that's why Kulak was gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's a shame about Kulak. Look, they picked up another defenseman in Statsny for some have said that's actually a bit of an upgrade perhaps over Kulak. Those people are very low on Kulak because I think Kulak was a pretty
yeah,
solid defenseman and played very well in the playoffs for the
yeah, I
Oilers
think that's
last
where it's
year.
going to hurt
So
them, but we'll
so we'll
see
like we'll see how
see if
that shakes out.
Stasny plays well enough. Now he's no relation to the legendary Stastny, so let's not go
Yeah, it's
there.
spelled
But
differently too.
spelled
But
differently. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, this trade was going to happen. It had to happen. Edmonton needed to do something to change
mhm.
the room.
Yep. But that's not going to shake the league up that
No,
much. What
no,
is, however, is the Quinn Hughes trade to Minnesota. And wow. I think,
shocker.
it's a shocker because I don't think anybody saw Minnesota at the top of the list.
No,
But
nobody
if
saw
when you think about it though, they had the perfect set of assets to make this deal happen. Right? They had a stud defense prospect. By the way, William had a goal and an assist in his first game with Vancouver tonight. So already paying dividends. It's his defensive game that's going to, take time to round into form, but the kid's dynamic.
The kid is 20 years old.
20 years old. I mean, he's a stud. And then, I think the Athletic had him as the fifth best prospect in the league coming into this year. Then they've got Marco Rossi, who's just upside, upside, upside.
Yep.
He may never be a 100-point player, but if he's an 80-point player or a
Right.
75-point player, you put a Bouillon with that, you put Rossi in with that, and then an unprotected draft. Who cares if it's protected or not? Minnesota is going to be fine, but an unprotected draft pick on top of that, that's a pretty good haul.
Yeah, they got basically they got four number one picks
Yeah, they
because
got 4. Who's the other
William
one?
was a
Oh yeah,
number one pick, Rossi was a number one pick, and Ogren was a number one pick. Now he's not developed quite as everybody had hoped, but who knows? We'll see what happens. It was really a throw in the league, and then obviously they got the first round pick next year. So
yeah,
they've basically got four first rounders for Hughes, and that's a good to what we said. You know, Buium is really the big upside here in terms of defenseman in, defenseman out, younger, has some upside. If you listen to some of the experts, they're saying Buium has a chance, maybe not to be the offensive player that Hughes is, but better defensively in the long run. So this could be an upgrade for them defensively, and great building blocks for Vancouver and a team now definitely in a rebuild because they actually said it. We're now in a rebuild. You
yeah,
know, we all knew they were anyways, but now they've said these are three kids that are going to help us with our rebuild. So,
yeah,
but again, Winnipeg, the Wild being in this mix was crazy because we all thought New York, New Jersey, go play with his brothers. But apparently there was some stumbling blocks to that happening. One, salary cap issues in New Jersey. New Jersey made
right.
an offer apparently that was we don't know who was in that offer, but they had trouble clearing cap space and they had to get rid of somebody in order to bring him in, and they just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, so
But let's talk about Minnesota now. You've got Brock Faber and Quinn Hughes, who are both top 10 defensemen in the league,
yep.
very young still. And you've got Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy up front. This is a team that can skate with Colorado now.
Well, Colorado and Dallas, and
And I
that's
keep
what we
forgetting
have
about
to. That's
Dallas,
what we
but
have to talk about is that we have all said that this division is going to be set the standard for the playoffs this year in terms of getting out of it and style of play
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and everything. And now you really had Colorado and Dallas just running away with this division in terms of talent and style and play. Minnesota has not dropped off. They're not that far back, but now, wow, you've got and let's not forget about Winnipeg and all of this. They're falling off right now, but they got back. But you got Josh Morrissey, Hughes, and McCarr, three of the most dynamic offensive defensemen, all in the same division right now.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you talk about, you just said the core, let's not use the words, but core four in Minnesota, those now rival what's in Winnipeg, what's in Dallas, and what's in Colorado. If they can build around these guys, they might not do it this year, but wow, this division is going to be, and they're all young. These guys are all young in all those
Yeah.
teams, right? There's these teams are all young. These teams are going to be good for a long period of time here. And the ace in the hole, and let's not forget Hughes has another year left on his contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people were worried too. Would he sign? Would he want to go to New Jersey when he's done? But now Minnesota, because they got him this June or July is the last opportunity to sign guys that could become restricted free agents to 8-year terms. So
Right.
Minnesota now has them in advance of that, and there will have the opportunity. And let's also be honest here too. Quinn Hughes a month ago apparently went to
Said he didn't
Vancouver
want to
and said,
sign. Yeah.
"I'm not signing long term. I'm letting you know early. I want out of here," which is
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate. And knowing that, they got a haul for him in return, and I think they did pretty good.
Pretty good. Look, if I have one concern about Minnesota, it's that they are a little thin down the middle. That's what they always used to say about the Canadians when they were sort of competitive and sort of not as well. They've got no centers. They don't like, and down the middle, you've got Eriksson Ek, Joel Eriksson Ek, who's very, very good. They've given up Marco Rossi, so their number one or number two center is gone. So you've got Eriksson Ek, Yakov Trenin, Vini Hinostroza, and Nico Sturm. That is not a murderer's row of centers.
No, no. And as I said, they might not be that team this year, but who knows? You go on a run in the playoffs, but the building blocks are there now, right? As you say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would think so. All right, so those are the big trades. One of the things that came up for me tonight watching the Oilers game is I was really, really, really impressed with the NHL Network intermission coverage. Why? Because and I haven't seen him. He hasn't been featured a lot this season, but Dave Reed was the in studio analyst, and I just thought his breakdown of the salient highlights and other plays in the first two periods were his analysis was great, and he broke it down clearly, and he was great directing the video guys to show the right parts of the replay and stopping it in the right places. He's not a common thing on the NHL Network, and I wanted to pull up the roster of analysts on the NHL because this is the league's television, right?
Yeah.
So you'd think that they would be wall-to-wall fantastic analysts. It is not.
It's not.
It is not. And they've got a couple of good ones. My favorites are Dave and Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is a color guy who for Canadians and increasingly Leafs broadcasts, and he's outstanding. He's really, really clear, very, very knowledgeable. Reacts to what happens on the ice when he's doing games very, very well. And when he's in the studio, his sort of when he has time to break things down and show them clearly, just an amazing educator of the game. But beyond those two guys, you've got a couple of guys who are entertaining, and then you got a lot of slop. You got Bruce Boudreau, who honestly, like, I'd listen to that guy, like, read nursery rhymes to me all night long. He's a riot. I love him. But some of the younger guys that they have are brutal. Like Brian Boyle, and look, you can make an argument that they're new, right? And so, they're young. They've only retired recently, and they've got room to grow. But some of these guys they have no personality to speak. Like Brian Boyle is terrible.
Boyle's terrible. And I think I texted you last week, and it was during one of the games the Amazon was playing, and I was talking about the Amazon
studio
show, which I think is terrible.
Yeah.
And then I was watching the NHL Network's NHL Now, the sort of magazine show, whatever went on. And Brian Boyle is on there. Mike Rump is on there. And I forget who.
Mike Rump is another one of these former players who's just an
terrible,
utter disaster.
It's actually unwatchable. The drivel coming out of them is absolutely a waste of time. And that's part of the problem. Being in broadcast, and I was in sports broadcast for a long time, you look for the talented, educated is the wrong word, but well-spoken guys. And a guy like Mike Johnson is the guys you're looking for. And I would say that's what separates the TSNs of the world.
Yeah.
And I would say what's really good about TNT is that they've got guys that are well-spoken, present themselves well. You got guys that are entertaining, like Biz, who, he jumbles on his words here and there, but he's entertaining.
Yeah, but Biz is great. He's entertaining.
He's great. He's entertaining. And then you've got, what happens is the best of the best go there, and then you seem like this is sort of the learning curve. This is
by the way, I don't think this is unexpected, right? Like if you look at some of the other league networks, like the NBA channel and the NFL network,
just as bad.
They're not great. Like you would have thought of, especially like with the gazillions of dollars the NFL has, that its studio shows would be chock full of, fantastic analysts.
This is a training center.
It's a training center for the major networks. I think you're right. But some of the others, like Bill Lindsay is honestly like, Bill Lindsay reminds me of like when you go to when you go to like an autograph fair or something, and there's a guy sitting at a table that you barely remember, and it's like, yeah, I'll get his autograph, and then
Yeah.
like he starts talking to you and won't let you leave for 10 minutes. Like, dude, I
Right.
just want a signature. Like, I gotta go.
That
Like that's Bill Lindsay.
yeah.
Seems like a nice guy, but there's Billy Jaffe, who's always got a good quip or two, and he's got good energy, but doesn't say anything that's particularly interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Stu
other one on the NHL network that's terrible, and he's on the New Jersey broadcast is Danico.
Oh, Danico's terrible.
Just
Danico.
terrible.
But where we disagree is I like Kevin Weeks and you hate him.
I can't stand Kevin Weeks.
I like Weeksy. I think aside from Weeksy having the most overtly racist nickname when he played of anybody, I can't believe I've like for those people who don't know, Kevin Weeks is an African American, African Canadian man,
Yes.
and he wore number 80 in his playing career. And when he was playing in Carolina, of all places, his nickname was Shady 80. And I was
Shady
like,
80.
Shady 80. And I was like, how do you get away with saying, like, that's a terrible
Yeah,
nickname?
it's terrible. And he's
That's
terrible
abs-
broadcaster.
but he was a decent goalie and he's a decent analyst, I think. I
Oh,
love
decent
Kevin.
goaltender.
I like I
It's terrible. You
I like I like I
I,
like Weeks's analysis. I like his energy. I like
he
I can
definitely has
I
energy.
can
I'll give
deal
him that. I'll
I can
give him
deal
that.
with his outfits better than I can PK's,
Oh,
that's for sure.
PK.
But yeah, but Kevin
We
Weeks
haven't
I
talked a
think
lot
is
about
a
PK Subban this
it's
year.
because it's
I
because he
have
hasn't done anything.
no, I haven't done anything. I haven't watched much of ESPN for that reason.
No. And by the hey, that reminds me of something I wanted to talk about, and it's only going to take a second, and it's a complete tangent, and it's a total aside. But PK may want reminded me of something I wanted to say because I wanted it to be public. I think one of the most incredible athletic achievements I've seen in the last decade is Lindsey Vonn winning a downhill World Cup race at the age of 44.
Fantastic, amazing. She's done three amazing things in her life. That's
That is
one.
mind blowing. Coming
That
back from the injuries that she's had at her
absolutely.
age and
It's
going out,
fantastic.
it's like I'm 54 and I can barely ski at all anymore. In fact, I blew my knee out last year skiing.
Yeah.
But and this woman at 44 has won one of the most difficult athletic events to win in the world. It's absolutely
Amazing.
insane.
It's
And so
amazing.
applause to her.
Applause to her
Applause
for a
to her.
couple of things. That and for having the good sense of dropping
Getting
PK
rid of
Subban.
PK Subban. Okay. I think you had to get that
I
in
had to
there.
get that in there.
You
I'm
had to get that.
sorry.
He
Had to
could be a
get that in there.
wonderful man. We don't know that.
So where are we going to segue to next? We got to go to the Olympic. I know
The Olympic arena, we've
we even
seen new
talked about this till we're
footage.
blue in our
Yeah,
face,
new
but
footage
now
and
there's
new
new
photos
footage.
from the site. I honestly have no clue whatsoever how they're going to get this done.
No clue. If anybody hasn't seen the footage yet, Google it. The NHL or somebody put out a video of pan shot going across this arena. There's a whole section of seats that are still not in. There's no guardrails anywhere. From the picture or the images I saw, it didn't seem like the scoreboard is in and the lighting wasn't completed. Like, I don't know in the next month and a half how they're going to get this building ready. Now, there are two ice rinks in Milan, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
This one is the main one. The women's tournament is going to be played at the other one. It was supposed to start at this arena before the opening ceremony. I don't see that happening.
Right.
And they were going to play at the other one. But this arena still, and we talked about this last week, has to be ready and has to have ice quality enabled that's has the ability to withstand 5 games a day.
Yep.
And
So
that's no easy task.
this is a plea to our German listeners to pick up their toolbox and take the train to Milan to help
Wow.
out. They need all the hands they can get.
I just don't get, and there's no plan B. They can't play everything at the other arena. You won't hold everything. And
Right.
the other problem that they've got, well, not the problem is that the other thing that's happening is just announced is Team Canada is going to be announced on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
And you got to believe the other teams, all teams have to submit their teams by
On New Year's
Christmas,
Eve.
New Year's
Yeah.
Eve. So
Yeah.
Team Canada is going to submit it and announce it, which is going to be
Mm-hmm.
awesome. However, they might be announcing 3 days later that the tournament ain't happening.
Mm.
So, or 3 weeks later, I don't know, but it could be the most anticlimactic thing going on. Like I know there's players saying we're going regardless, we're doing whatever, but that ice isn't safe. Like we're seeing injuries left, right, and center right now. Another big one this week in Hedman. He's going to be gone. He just had elbow surgery.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. If he's gone for the Olympics, you can
yeah,
kiss sweetness
absolutely.
chances goodbye.
So it's unfortunate. I just don't understand how they're going to get this building from the images I've seen. And they were saying, look at the progress being made. It didn't look like progress to me. It looked like a
No,
big
nope,
question
nope.
mark. So,
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, um, I we need to wrap things up, but I wanted to sort of preview a couple of things. Number one, we haven't figured out which Sunday it is, but one of these Sundays we're probably gonna during the break, probably maybe the post Christmas one, we'll take a week off and take a little bit of a break. And then the other thing, this is a preview of something that I have not yet discussed with Phil, but I'm bringing it up on the air.
wow.
Uh, I want to do an episode that is dedicated to hockey TV shows and movies.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be fun.
And talk
That'd be
about the ones
fun.
that are good, the ones that suck, both as movies and as representatives of or representations of the game that we both love. I think. Look, I'm gonna spoil everything and say clearly the best one ever made is Miracle, but there's a lot of TV shows
Yeah.
and films made about hockey that we can talk about underneath
Yeah.
that. Some good, some very, very bad.
Yes. We can definitely do that. Are we not going to finish with my homework?
Oh, right, your homework. All right, we
You
get
gave me
well.
an assignment last week
I
and you don't
gave you an
want
assignment.
I did my
Let's.
homework. I was a good student and I did my homework and now you don't want to hear it?
I don't. Okay, look, we're going to go a little bit long because it's important that we do this.
We can go over it
So
quickly.
I tasked you with coming up with a list of players that you think A are somewhat available, and B accessible to the Leafs. Now I didn't ask you to factor in salary cap or any of that garbage. It's just like give me 5 realistic players. I didn't ask you for 5, but I think you came up with 5.
I think I came up with 5.
Give me a list of realistic players you think would help the Leafs help the Leafs in their predicament and help you off the couch.
And I put a further guardrail on this
Okay.
in terms of I kept it to teams that I thought were sellers.
We're
So
going
I
to be
kept it
sellers.
to those
Well, that's part of the
realistic. I didn't
part of
I
what
didn't
makes it
go crazy
realistic,
and
right?
say, "Hey, go get Sidney Crosby from Pittsburgh." They're not sellers. That's just stupid.
Okay.
But
So who you got?
um, do you want me to go in order of my first pick to the final pick, or do you want me
I want
to?
you to go from most impactful to least impactful addition.
Okay. Well, I think this is the most impactful player. I don't think they're going to get him because I don't think they have the assets to give up for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think somebody that could be easily pried away um, is Marchand.
Jonathan Marchessault. Okay.
He's having a terrible year, so his stock is as low. He's had terrible 2 years now. His stock is
Mm-hmm.
low, but there's plenty of upside. We know he can score. We know that if
Yep.
he's with a good centerman that could set him up, but you could see him with Matthews and Nyes on that right side. He could be an answer there. And if he could
Mm-hmm.
find his game and find the net again, he could be it. And he might not cost them as much as you think. Although, again, I'd say the Leafs don't have a lot to give up for him. But maybe,
Right.
maybe we have a goaltender we could give up for him because if they're going to give up Soros, then they're going to need somebody back in the net, right? And we've
Yeah.
got 3, maybe 4 goaltenders. One might not see the net again this year, but we'll talk about that next week. But
Maybe they can convince Nashville
maybe.
that Nick Robertson is a good goalie.
Yeah, he's one. I'll go yeah, the next one would be and again, I don't think we'll get him because I don't think St. Louis is going to give up one other one guy like this, but Kyrou.
Jordan
Jordan
Kyrou. Okay.
Kyrou. I thought Kyrou could
Well, he's been
be
in the doghouse lately,
yeah, he could be he's
so
in the doghouse, not having a great season. Still somewhat young, so but I thought Kyrou could be one. If you
all
stick
right.
with St. Louis, I don't think this is impactful, but Matthew Joseph, again,
Okay.
another right winger, again having not a great year, but St. Louis isn't having a great year, so he could be there. Um, Connor Garland. Well, Vancouver is selling. Why not
Connor
Connor
Garland
Garland?
is just
So
as a third line
yeah,
just difference maker.
just a difference maker. Somebody else in there.
Okay. Okay.
And then out of the Flames, Carnado.
Interesting. Matt
So those
Carnado.
are the 4 teams that I think are the biggest, most
All
likely
forwards.
sellers. Well, we talked about the assignment actually. Who would fit the
Was the
wing?
forward?
Who would fit the wing with
Oh,
Matthews and
okay.
Nyes? So I was trying to
Okay.
stick to a winger,
Oh,
right
great.
winger that I thought could fit in with those two and could make a difference for him. I think Marchessault is number one. Kyrou would be number two.
All right. Those are
Um,
good choices.
so,
Very,
but the biggest problem as we've talked about is the Leafs have the assets in order to get somebody like Marchessault or Kyrou. And I
yeah.
think the answer is no, but they got to do something or this season's going to get away from them in a real hurry.
Yep. Yep. Well, on
So,
that positive note,
yeah, we'll talk again next week.
we'll talk again next week.
And maybe
Great
one of these
talking to
guys
you.
might be a Leaf because we got till next Friday for
Next Friday.
the trade deadline.
All right.
Maybe
six
somebody will happen.
days. 6 days.
Maybe
to make
someone
a
will
move.
deliver me a Christmas gift
Well, just
just under the wire.
I think a great Christmas gift for you is just sort of banishing Nick Robertson to the minors. That's all you need.
Well, you know what I'd like to see is next Sunday when Dallas comes to town, his brother steal him and take him with him when Dallas leaves town.
Maybe his brother doesn't want him.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
All right,
well,
Phil. Great talking to you,
too.
and
We'll
we'll
see you
pick it up
next
again
week.
next week.
Awesome. We'll see you later. Have a good
All right,
week.
buddy. You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.